The author is sorry for mispronouncing fiery and fieriness throughout this video. Please understand fury as fiery and fieriness as fieriness. I still don't quite understand. Which waves are we talking about? And how am I supposed to tune them? One of the waves of your body of light is love, for example. When this fiber of your being is tightened and vibrating high, it looks like this, beautiful and harmonious, as shown here. Then you feel love, you radiate love, and you are love. Yes, indeed, your whole being is love. You embody love. When the tension of this fiber subsides, it vibrates deep and looks ugly and disharmonious, as shown here. You are indifferent, so it goes down to a very low frequency of this fiber, in which you vibrate in hate, embody hate, radiate hate, and are hate. That is why the teaching so often uses the term straining. You actually have to strain the fiber love of your being and retune it again and again as the string of a guitar in order to create a vibrational state of your being in which you love a fellow human being despite his troublemaking, and in which you love life even in a difficult situation. We note love is more than a feeling. You are love itself. Love is a state of your being. Namely, a state of vibration. The fiber love of your soul is tuned high. It vibrates high. This sounds as if I am to create love through an effort of will or discipline. Yes, in a sense it is like that. After all, we are not talking about infatuation, which is rapidly ignited by a tiny little trifle and fades away just as quickly, but about a state of your being. It must be understood that we have in mind not the isolated, easily extinguished flashes of love. These mirages have no significance. It is steadfast love that is needed, devotion that burns unextinguished through all of life's trials. Raise caring, active love within yourself. Love is a teacher, but one has to understand how to appropriate it, because it is difficult to learn, and it is bought dearly through long work and only after a long time, because one should not love for a chance moment, but rather for all times. You can get used to opening your heart and listening to its voice instead of suppressing it. You can practice thinking, feeling, speaking, and acting lovingly, regardless of whatever happens to you. you can actually learn to arouse love within you for everything that exists and to guard it like a tender plant. You can acquire a loving attitude towards your fellow human beings, who, however ignorant and indolent they may be, are nevertheless, like you, bearers of the divine fire. You can get used to overlooking the small, the weak within them, or to judging it only indulgently, and to emphasizing the lovable. One of the most beautiful and practically most important instructions of the Mahatmas runs, "As through a magnifying glass behold the good, and belittle tenfold the signs of imperfection, lest you remain as you always were." You may make an effort and develop within you a love that cannot be so easily shaken. You can become embodied love. Love is like truth, justice, and beauty, a cosmic principle that strives to embody itself on earth in a spiritual attitude, in a form of existence, in a being. In practical terms, that means you really look at your fellow human beings with loving eyes, no matter how childish or barbaric they may behave. You are permeated with a love that embraces all humanity. You wrap them all in a loving aura. You love life in all its manifestations and with all its possibilities, despite all the appalling circumstances. Should I always just love, always just give in, and never defend myself at all? No, but you will see, exactly there where rigor is required, it yields the desired effect best when your counterpart also feels your love. There are more of these strings, vibrations, or fibers of your spiritual being than with a guitar, namely countless. One wave, vibrating high, is joy. Vibrating with average frequency is indifference, and vibrating low is sorrow. Other fibers range from patience down to impatience, and from serenity to irritation. Again, one fiber runs from power to weakness, and one from purity to filth. Others from enthusiasm to despondency, from solemnity to debauchery, from gratitude to ingratitude, from fearlessness to fear, from selflessness to selfishness, from firmness to hesitation or doubt, from vulnerability to inviolability, and so on. These are all states of your fiery body. When it vibrates high, you not only feel invulnerable, but you, your true spiritual being, are actually invulnerable. When it vibrates high, not only do you feel fearless, but you, your true inner being, actually are without fear, and so on. Surround yourself with fire and become immune is a most ancient covenant. A great soul vibrates high with all the fibers of its being and looks beautiful like this. a small soul vibrates low and presents a chaotic, ugly sight like this. Weariness means all waves or fibers of your being of light are strained to such an extent that it vibrates with a high frequency of love, power, joy, patience, vitality, solemnity, gratitude, fearlessness, firmness, etc. Which means it is love, power, joy, etc. and thus radiates love, power, joy, etc. This synthesis we call the Fiery condition. You are now, as they say, tuned high or in high spirits. With the guitar, all strings must be in tune in order to achieve harmony. If just one of them is wrongly tuned, like here, the result will be dissonance, disharmony. The same is true of your being of spirit. You are only in harmony in your ideal state when all the fibers are strained. Then you have created a body of light of wonderful beauty. There is another phenomenon in physics that we can make use of correspondingly on the spiritual level. Every object has a certain natural frequency. Waves of this frequency make it resound. That is why soldiers are not allowed to march in lockstep on a bridge. The rhythm could stimulate the natural frequency of the bridge to vibrate and thus cause it to collapse. That is why singers can shatter glasses with their voices. This tuning fork is tuned to concert pitch A. It has a natural frequency of 440 Hz. When I press the E string of my guitar here, it also has a natural frequency of 440 Hz. That means striking the tuning fork makes the string resound, and striking the string makes the tuning fork resound. Both ring together beautifully. The same principle of resonance applies in the spiritual area. Tune your instrument, the harp of your being, to such a high pitch that it vibrates at the same frequency as the waves of divine love that permeate the whole universe. If you are properly attuned, these waves will cause the string love of your soul to resound. You can actually tune yourself in to the vibration of the waves of universal love, as you tune a radio to the waves of a particular station. The vibrations of cosmic love are waiting and hoping. It is their very purpose to find and evoke resonance within you. Then universal love plays, resounds, acts and reveals itself through you as its individual instrument. You resound in unison with it. You radiate it. You are universal love, which through you bends down to those creatures who are in need of loving care. When the fiber love of your being slackens, using the principle of resonance, you can make it vibrate again with the help of the waves of cosmic love. This is the secret of meditation. When we say love flows to us or fills us, that means in scientific language, the vibration of divine love reaches over to us according to the principle of resonance, because we have attuned our being to it. There is another important area of application of the resonance principle. When you are in a fiery condition, when all the strings of your being are strained and in high pitch, they do not reverberate, they do not show any resonance to low vibrations, such as injury, dejection, or desire. A low frequency does not cause any string or fiber of your being to resound. Of course, you notice the negative circumstances, but they do not move, they do not affect you. Thus, it is not other people's, but always your own fault alone when you are freaking out or being thrown off your course. The reason for this is that there are still low vibrating particles of subtle matter within you yourself, which are being made to reverberate by corresponding lower energies. Can't you explain that any easier? To me, for example, an opened bottle of whiskey does not have any appeal at all. It could remain on my kitchen table for weeks and months without my touching it. An open bar of chocolate, on the other hand, would most probably be consumed within a few days. The one finds resonance within me, the other does not. Thus, when I change the vibration of my being of spirit, so that this soundboard within myself is removed, the temptation could no longer reach me.